Hi, this is Togrim. You are watching my second Cleric PvP video for Rift. This is from a 20 to 29 Codex, and my low B 21 Cleric is spec 16 Shaman, 12 Justicar, 0 Warden. So basically after putting a dozen points in Justicar, I invested the rest in Shaman. You can see the spec I used in this video in the description for this video, and I should note that I made a mistake in my talent tree. I took 1 point in Endless Winter, a mana regen talent, instead of Jolt, and you should definitely take Jolt first. It's a really critical burst damage ability. My first target here is a Bard Spec Rogue, and normally when I was attacking him I would strafe behind him to remove parry from his defensive table, but he was standing close enough to the cliff that I didn't want to get behind him and potentially get punted off. Now this Warlock here is casting Mortality, which is an AoE based damage heal, so I can't interrupt or silence her, so when she started to cast it I should have strafed out of it. I get the bubble cap there on the Codex flag. And I zoomed out here so you can see some of my healing on other players. So our green health bars are getting low, so I popped Doctrine of Loyalty once right there, and then again. It's a great way to get a bunch of people's health bars back up. And one really critical mechanic of Doctrine of Loyalty is it won't land on players unless they're in your line of sight. And this is really critical. You know, you want to make sure that you have open lines of sight to people when you want to try to heal them with Doctrine of Loyalty. So we keep trading off caps of Codex, and right now we're holding Codex and the Defiance are holding the bottom 3 nodes. I'm getting shelled here, and I get a bunch of clutch burst heals. So Warfront is healing me, but I also got a crit Glory the Chosen, which is a Shaman healing ability when you get crit, and I got a crit Doctrine of Loyalty. Then after that I still had convictions built up so I could spend them on Doctrine of Bliss. And one thing we're doing right now is we're standing underneath the cliff, and this is to reduce our exposure to the ranged DPS that's above us. You can see there's one friendly cleric. She's standing up in the upper right part of the screen, and she's getting free casted on by the ranged DPS above her, and really there's no reason to be standing out in the middle if you're a healer. Unless you want to do something like what I'm trying to do right here, such as bubble cap a flag. But in general, you know, if there's a lot of ranged DPS, you should try to use the terrain to your advantage. And I did manage to get a bubble cap there. So the ranged DPS up on the hill is preventing us from capping the flag, so we go ahead and go up to clear the 2 ranged DPS that are left. And one of my guildees, Warzdak, is able to cap the flag. I did queue in to this Warfront with 2 guildees, so one is a low B Pyro Mage and the other is Warzdak, who is a level 26 Healing Spec Cleric. And whenever I can, I try to stop and get out of combat to go ahead and drink up to refill my mana. With this spec, you have 2 different mana regeneration abilities. One is called Purpose, it's the 12-pointer in Justicar, and the other is the 14-point Shaman ability, Ageless Ice, and both of them work the same way. Basically, when you pop it, for the next 10 seconds when you hit an opponent with a melee ability, regen mana, and you can pop them both at the same time because they do stack, and when you do this you can basically regen all of your mana in about 5 hits. So you'll notice about 10 seconds ago I was beating on an elemental pet to build up convictions, and one thing I've learned the hard way is that Justicar is sometimes it's not wise to charge into combat on the front lines if you don't have any convictions built up, because what will happen is you'll be conviction starved and you'll need to start healing yourself, but to heal yourself you have to use convictions, and if you chew up the 1 or 2 convictions you have built up and you're not using your GCDs for light based damage attacks, you're not building up any more convictions, so basically you'll die because you won't have enough convictions to work with. So in some cases like this where we're near an enemy res point or there are a lot of opponents around, I'll make sure to use a pet or an overextended player, build up convictions, and then engage in combat. And you can see I'm watching the health bars of our raid, so periodically I'm hitting Doctrine of Loyalty to keep everyone's health high. And one nice thing about having Warden as a 0-point third tree is I have the spammable ranged attack water jet, so I can constantly apply pressure to targets even when they're out of my melee range. So you can see here we're holding the bottom 3 nodes. So we're holding the bottom 3 nodes because they have Codex and we couldn't get it back. And I get back-to-back crits with Water Jet for 217. So we win a very close Codex Warfront, and the top 2 healers both came in around 52k, and I was right behind them at 49k. And keep in mind, they have 4 to 5 levels on me, and they're pure healing spec. I'm technically classified as a DPS spec because I have more points in Shaman than in Justicar, but as you can see from this video, the healing capability is pretty good, and I finished 5th overall in damage. My killing blows were pretty low, it was only 3, but my guildie Frizzlepot, a Pyro Mage, got 21 killing blows. So the spec has continued to be fun. It's worked just as well as a lobby in the 20 to 29 bracket as it did in the 10 to 19 bracket. If you have any questions, let me know.